All right, what's going on, Black Speakers Network? I am super excited to bring you another BSN Speaker Spotlight interview. This has been our live interview series, and if you catch any of our past interviews, you know that it has been fire. And so this is our opportunity to be able to introduce you to experts from across the Black Speakers Network community and all sorts of areas of expertise, from finance to leadership to health and wellness and fitness, and you name it. And so this is an opportunity to not only learn, but also get connected with speakers all across the country and even internationally. And so super excited that you're here. My name, of course, is Brian Owles, founder and president here at Black Speakers Network, where our mission is to equip, connect, and inspire the next generation of Black professional speakers. And so the goal of these interviews, a little bit unique. These are actually only 5 minutes. We call them rapid fire interviews. And so they will be quick, but they have always been powerful. And the good news is that if you hear someone that you want to get connected with, maybe you want to have a deeper conversation about what it is that they do. Perhaps you have an upcoming event, a seminar, a workshop, a podcast, or perhaps want to interview some of our speakers that you see here. The good news is the link to actually get more information and reach out to them is below. You can find every single speaker here tonight on our speakers directory at blackspeakersnetwork.com/speaker-directory, and you can connect with them easily. And so that's pretty much it. If you're watching live right now and you're part of the Black Speakers Network community, welcome. If you're new and you're like, what the heck is Black Speakers Network? I don't even know what's going on. Doesn't matter. I guarantee you're going to learn something. It's going to be a great time. And so I don't want to waste any time because we have 8 speakers, and we actually have a part 2 that we're going to be doing after this. And so whether you're watching live or later on, there's a part 2 that we're going to be doing 30 minutes after this, because we have so many incredible speakers that we want to introduce you to. And so that being said, I'm going to go ahead and move right into our very first speaker, and that is Miss Jenise, also known as Jen Lowe. She is joining us from Kingston, North Carolina, I believe. And Jen Lowe, if you can, go ahead and unmute yourself and tell the people a little bit about who you are.
All right, thank you so much for this opportunity. I am Jenise Albritton, aka Jen Lowe, of Jen Lowe Inspires. That is what I go by, because what I do is inspire people. I am from Kingston, North Carolina. Okay, and it's an amazing place, a small town, but I have big city dreams, so I want to help other people here and everywhere also have big city dreams and just big goals and achieve them as well.
I love it. I love it. Now, one of the interesting things, I like the mic that you're holding right there as well. I know that's a signature mic for you. I see it everywhere. And so I'm just starting with the first question. Is that mic any special significance? Because I'm super curious about it.
Yes, when I got this mic in 2019, it was right before going to California, which was my first plane trip ever. And it was for my business, my health and wellness company. And I said, when I get to California, to LA, I'm going to have the mic in my hand the whole time. I'm going to be on camera the whole time. And I really was the whole time, to the point where I had total strangers invite me to their birthday party and sang on stage. So yes, it does. It's manifestation for me, affirmation.
I love it. I absolutely love it. You know, I love a good microphone as well. Now, I noticed that you have a phrase that shows up a lot in social media and your website, and you always say, it's not a testimony if left untold. It's not a testimony if it's left untold. I thought that was really powerful. So can you expand on that and tell people kind of the meaning and the history behind that quote?
Yes, the history behind that quote is my organization is Second Chance 21013, which 21013 is the date of my accident, of which God gave me a second chance. Through sharing my testimony, it went viral 3 times, with the top time hitting 3.4 million. Through that, a lot of people said, you know what, I never believed in God before. I'm not sure if he exists, but I know something saved you. So I'm, like, I might need to take this God out, but had I not shared my testimony, one, he wouldn't have got the glory, and then people wouldn't have. So many people say they inspired and motivated by what I've been through, that it make what they've been through like, really, I'm complaining. And trust me, it's not just the accident, but a lot to even being on this platform, the things that I have done to get into speaking and authoring and all those things. So it's not a testimony that's left untold. Nobody can benefit from it if you don't tell it.
Absolutely. And you have a really impressive community now of well over 6,000 people with Second Chance. And so I know you're sharing motivation, inspiration, and you're really just sharing your message and inspiring people. And so what is it? Can you just let people know a little bit more about, what it means to be a part of Second Chance and what people like, what are people gaining by following? Because 6,000 is quite a number of people, and I know you're continuing to grow.
Yes. So the benefit is, like I said, sharing my testimony. There's people who have been through less than what I've been through, but it could be, sometimes we adopt other people's doubts and unbeliefs, and they say, oh, you can't do it because maybe they gave up right when they were right there at the goal, right? So the benefit is through hearing my testimony as well as others, because I've also had a show where I share other people's testimonies, and I do on the page share other people's testimonies. They get a different mindset. Maybe I can, maybe, I'm not pushing as hard as I really can. I'm giving up too early. So the thing is to have people adopt the mindset that I can, that the promises of God is for me. If I can see it, if I can visualize it, I can definitely hold it in my hand. So what they get is one-on-one coaching, especially with people who have been through things like I have and may have a disability or something like that. Like I had someone tell me the other day, you understand because you've been there. So I know you can identify and help me with the steps to get to the next place, to get to the next level.
Perfect. And I guess my last question, and this is pretty much the question we leave everybody with, Jen, and to give you the final word. You're doing great work, first of all, and it's really inspiring. I know your story in more detail, and I know when folks follow you, they'll get a chance to hear more about that. But what is it that you want to be remembered for when it's all said and done? What does Jen Lowe ultimately want to be remembered for?
That I did not give up against all odds. I pressed through, and that I was able, because I pressed through, I was able to motivate and inspire others to do the same, to get out of their own way, to, shift, to pivot. Whenever something happens, you have a second chance every single solitary day. Utilize that chance to elevate not only yourself, but other people. And I want to be known for a person that just helps in that step to help other people do that.
Well, I think you are well on your way. Sorry for the little bit of feedback. I think it's too powerful of a message to be kind of contained in this little box. But Jen, you are awesome. And again, if you want to connect with Jen Lowe from Jen Lowe Inspires, make sure that you go to blackspeakersnetwork.com. Click on the directory, find her. You can connect with her across all social media, and make sure that you join her community, because she is constantly, I'm talking about every single day, sharing nuggets of inspiration, motivation. So Jen, thank you so much for joining, and thanks for being part of Black Speakers Network community.
Thank you.
All right, so there you have it, folks. We are well on our way. We have 7 other speakers left to talk to, and we're just getting warmed up. And so if you're just joining us, you are watching the BSN Speaker Spotlight. This is our live interview series where we're doing 5-minute rapid fire interviews from speakers from across the Black Speakers Network community. And these folks are all across the country. As you just heard, Jen is in North Carolina, and now I'm headed all the way over to up, I guess, 95, right, Diann, to Pennsylvania. And let me introduce you now to Miss Diann Antley, and she is here with us. Thank you so much, and welcome to BSN Speaker Spotlight. Can you tell the people, Diann, a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I hope everybody can hear me okay. My name is Diann Antley, and I like to call myself the Forgiveness for Life coach. Basically, what I do is inspire women to forgive and release what no longer serves them. And I do that by using biblical perspectives and the grace of forgiveness and releasing. And I'm just so grateful and thankful to be here, Brian. And congratulations to you for all of the work that you are putting out there.
Well, I appreciate that, Diann. And listen, I'm so glad that you are doing what you're doing. I think the whole goal of this community is to be able to just reach more people. And I think that what you're doing is really important. My first question for you is, what inspires you? Like, what really gets you out of the bed in the morning? And, maybe if you could tie in how you started doing some of this work, that would be great too, because I'm sure there's a powerful journey there.
Well, absolutely. Basically, what inspires me to do this work and how I got started was going through my own divorce, my double bankruptcies, and having to walk away from a house that I could no longer afford. And you probably have heard those stories before. Everybody has gone through either one or all three of those things themselves, but not a lot of them have forgiven themselves or forgiven the circumstances behind it. And so when I went through the journey of all of those things, by the time everything was all said and done, I had to sit with myself. And number one, I had to forgive the people who were involved in my situations. But more importantly, I had to forgive myself. And so I started a journey of forgiveness because I realized that even with everything that this world is going through, we have to learn to forgive and let things go. We can talk about how we want to help people do everything from soup to nuts. But if there's no forgiveness, if we're still holding on to past hurts and shame and all of these other things, how successful are we going to be, not just in business, but in life? And so I feel like it's very important that we forgive. And so I'm on a mission with that.
Well, I'm so glad you mentioned that. And I want to dive in on that topic of forgiveness for a moment, because I feel like that kind of falls into the category of many things in life that could be easier said than done. And particularly divorce. I mean, you just mentioned you went through a double bankruptcy, which I've never even heard of. There's a lot that can happen in the midst of divorce that makes it really, really hard to forgive. So I guess my question for you is, what is it? Like, what's the first step in that? Like, for people that are like holding on to anger, or just like people have done really, really terrible things, or if there were just massive misunderstandings, like what is the first step that you recommend that people take on that journey to forgiveness?
Well, definitely the first step is to look inward. We are experts when it comes to wanting to point the finger out at everybody else. And it's easier for us to do that, right? It's very simple for us to do that. But when it's time for us to point back at ourselves, we become very reluctant. And we don't want to do what I call the hard work. And so that is where I come in as a coach. I help you go through what you need to go through. We can sit and talk and have the conversation. I'll give you X amount of time to talk about the other person. And then once we're done with that, that's it. Because my job is to work with you. And so accountability is very important. And so I get you to a point where we need to be accountable for the roles that we play in situations that we go through. Right. I mean, I walked away from a house that I could no longer afford, and I had the option of staying there. But there were some things along the way that led me up to that point. And I can sit here and talk about that because I realized and I held myself accountable for it. So number one is just holding yourself accountable and understanding the role that you play in the situation. And then once we can do that, I love to help my clients identify exactly what it is that they're feeling, what emotion that you're going through that is even causing you to not want to even think about forgiving. And so we explore and we dive into that as well. And once we understand what that emotion or emotions are, I help you to release it. And then we can put you on a journey, or rather continue the journey of letting go all of the other things that go with that situation.
Makes perfect sense. And I can tell that just how you're describing your process, giving people a safe environment where, they can start to do that healing and be a conduit, I think is very, very important. And so thank you for sharing that. I know one thing that, so it seems like you have a focus not just on women, but Christian women. I know you talked about the divorce rate, and you have a desire to impact that. What is it, maybe if a person right now is listening to this, or they may know somebody, who would you say is the person that really needs to reach out to you? Like, who are the people that you absolutely, love serving, and that at what point in their journey should they actually be reaching out to you?
That person who is basically at the point where just life is not going the way that they want it to go. They can't figure out why they can't formulate relationships, and not so much romantic relationships, but just ordinary friendships with people. They're walking into a room, they're holding a lot of negative energy, they're not sleeping at night, things are just not working out in their favor. That's usually because we're holding on to things that we don't even realize that we're holding on to, and we're doing it so tightly that it's affecting our everyday lives. So that person, especially in the time and the climate that we're living in right now, that will be my ideal person. And again, we would definitely identify what it is that you're holding on to, why you feel you need to hold on to it, and more importantly, what would your life rather be like if you let that thing go?
Just kidding. So Diann, I was saying perfectly said, not realizing I was muted, but in the 30 seconds that we have left, can you let us know what is the thing that you want to be remembered for? What is ultimately, what would you like to be your legacy?
I want to be remembered as the person who inspired others to live on purpose, and just to be able to forgive and let everything go that does not really go with their everyday lives. I have a motto called "It's time to flee." And flee is an acronym for forgiving, letting go, and enjoying everything that life has to offer. And I want to be known as the person that helps people to do that and never, ever apologize for it.
Perfectly said. Thank you so much, Diann. And remember, if something that Diann just said struck you, if you're thinking like, wow, I would love to have a conversation, or somebody that needs to connect with Diann, make sure you do so. blackspeakersnetwork.com/speaker directory, and we will make sure that she gets connected to you. So Diann, thank you so much just for sharing your wisdom with us today and your insight. And thanks for being a part of the Black Speakers Network community as well.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. All right, guys, we are going to roll right into the next speaker because, listen, I know for a fact that they got some knowledge to continue to drop on you. And guess what? If you are out there and you're like, man, I would really love to do one of these speaker spotlight interviews, we're going to try to interview as many of our members as possible. We have hundreds of people to get to. We're opening up more slots every single week. And so if that is you, make sure, number one, that you are a Black Speakers Network member. You can go to blackspeakersnetwork.com/join and learn more about the premium membership program. And as long as you're a BSN premium member, you have an active profile on our speaker directory, we would love to interview. So make sure you get that taken care of, and we will love to get you on this show. Now, going right ahead, we got, let's see, we're staying in Pennsylvania. Okay. We're staying in Pennsylvania. Cranberry Township, Pennsylvania is where our next speaker is from. And that is Dr. Elizabeth Carter, affectionately known as Dr. E. Welcome to BSN Speaker Spotlight, and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Hello and good evening, Brian and Black Speakers Network. Yes, I am Dr. E. Elizabeth Carter, PhD. I am born and raised in Long Island, New York. For those of you in Long Island, shout out to you. Have moved up and down the East Coast and now live in Western Pennsylvania, a little north of Pittsburgh. I am what I would call a corporatepreneur. I still hold my job in corporate because there needs to be more people that look like me in corporate, and that's why I stay. But I know we all still need help and resources, so I have my own LLC, Appeal, where I am equipping and empowering ambitious young minorities to really elevate their roles in the workplace by being more vocal, visible, and valued.
I love that. Dr. E, I have so many questions for you, but I just want to applaud your number one, you have a lot of education. You have a lot of accomplishments. I know you've worked in the finance industry, and so we're going to get to that in a moment. But can you dive a little bit more into your philosophy of, kind of having this dual, yes, you recognize your value and your presence is needed in corporate, in the workforce, but you also recognize that there's so much for you to do in the entrepreneurship space. And it could be, I'm sure, challenging to kind of balance the two. Why is it so important for you to kind of set that example on both sides of the fence, and corporate and entrepreneurship?
Well, what I know is that I want to be the resource I didn't have coming up when I was in corporate. Being in finance, as you mentioned, there is still not many that look like us. And even any of the STEM industries, we are still lacking in representation. And what I do every single day is when I get up, I am learning, and I'm then sharing that with my clients. As the corporate culture changes, as we're more focused on DEI, working from home, all those corporate nuances that may be challenging for us, I am entrenched and pushing the buttons inside the organization as an employee, and all my bumps and bruises I'm taking for everyone else so that they can then learn from my mistakes and be much better than I have been at it.
All right. Well, I think that's a very important mission, and I feel the same way. I spent 11 years in corporate, as you know, and so that was no roadmap. That was, not as much, mentorship sometimes. So I'm sure that you're doing an incredible job lighting the path for other people to follow. So one of the things I would love to talk about is your company, Appeal. And so I know that there's like an acronym and there's like a methodology, as with everything, we kind of think alike. So can you tell us a little bit about like what that method is that you work with your clients on, and what does it represent?
Sure. So Appeal is twofold. It is an acronym, and it stands for an absolute passion for performance, engagement, analytics, and leadership. And those four pillars, performance, engagement, analytics, and leadership, are really the four pillars for success in working in any organization. So I really base all of my teachings, my learnings in those four areas. And at the same time, kind of going across the pillars is being able to be more visible, more vocal, and valued. And really that is the methodology around how we can perform better, how we'll show up better, how companies will appreciate us better. So that's really been my methodology around the pillars of what I teach and how I help others learn and grow and really evolve in the workplace.
Perfectly said. Now, I just kind of going through your bio, and I generally don't do this, but I'm going to read this just to punctuate for people how much experience that you bring to the table and how you're weaving that together. And so we've already talked about your background in insurance and finance, but you've also a self-described performance improvement leader with extensive experience in financial analysis, 1, performance improvement, 2, relationship management, 3, and talent development, 4. Now, I spent some time in corporate, and I know that, there are individuals that spend their entire careers in just one of those functional areas. And, whether it's talent, HR, finance. And so you've kind of blended all of those things together. Can you tell me a little bit about how you arrived at that? And, how does that blending influence kind of your business and your coaching strategy currently?
Well, it was interesting, Brian, when I had been working in finance for a long time, and people hate numbers, people hate finance, especially in corporate. So I built training to help people really understand how what they do impacts the results of the organization. And the light bulb went off. So that's how I started really commingling the talent development and the finance, because people took more ownership in what they did, because now they clearly could see what they do and the bottom line. And it's actually been it's been more of a problem than a good thing in corporate, because corporate wants you siloed. They want you either in accounting or HR or in product or in sales. So sometimes they'd have trouble figuring out what they would do with me. So I've had to figure out, and I help others do this, make my own path, figure out where I can lend my skill sets the best and be unique and authentic, And I found that job currently where I am in Pittsburgh, working for a health insurance company. And I'm an enigma, but they love me and I add so much value. And that's what I really instill in my clients. How do we create your uniqueness that you can excel in everything that you're great at and enjoy?
I understand. Yeah, it's so interesting because, yes, organizations, I feel like most of them, if they're really progressive, they will try to have you on a rotation and get you so much experience. But a lot of times you almost kind of relegated to be in this like one functional area. But as an entrepreneur, again, you're bringing so many different, you're wearing all these different hats all the time. And so the ability to kind of blend multiple domains of experience, I think is very, very important. And so I really like that. My last question for you as we wrap up, Dr. E, just like with everyone else, what is it that you want to be remembered for? What's your legacy?
My legacy really is, even though I've been in corporate and remain corporate, I don't have that corporate stance, if you will. I try to keep it real. I let people really understand what's happening behind the scenes. What are those, what I'll call unconscious clues, things that you may be missing because you think everything is grand because they're telling you that, but behind the scenes, there's a lot more going on that you don't know about. So for me, it's about keeping it real, helping people understand it's not all roses and glory. There's a lot of work we have to do. And I push people to the limit a bit, but they really appreciate me in the end. So I'm a toughie, I'm corporate, but I keep it real.
Keep it real. I 100% feel that and believe that. And so, Dr. E, thank you so much for sharing. Obviously, just like with anyone else, if you want to connect with Dr. Elizabeth Carter, make sure you head to blackspeakersnetwork.com /speaker-directory. You can connect with her, learn more about her programs, learn more about like events and all the incredible things that she has coming up throughout the year. But Dr. E, thank you so much for sharing. And of course, thanks for being part of the Black Speakers Network community.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right. So we are rocking and rolling, y'all. If you are enjoying this, just put a me in the comments, whether you're watching live or watching the replay. And then if you are planning to do your speaker spotlight interview, maybe you've already scheduled yours, or you're like, you know what, I'm definitely going to get on this train. Just drop next into the comments. I would love to see the individuals who are planning to come up and share their thought leadership. But moving right along, I don't know what's going on with Pennsylvania. All of our Pennsylvania people are right next to each other. This was not on purpose, but I think it's kind of cool. But our next speaker is no exception. We got Dr. Constance Craig Mason in the building from York, Pennsylvania. Dr. Constance Craig Mason, tell the people how you're doing and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Hey, Brian. This is Constance Craig Mason here. I am a master registered financial consultant and insurance broker, international speaker, and an Amazon bestselling author. However, more importantly, I'm a woman of God. I am a wife, a mom, and a grandma, and I am doing super fantastic today. Thank you for asking me, Brian.
No problem. I don't know why I keep muting myself. But listen, here's the deal. I have a lot of questions for you, Constance, particularly because you're in my mind, you're like the money lady. So, and there's a lot of money things happening in our economy right now, things that people want to know about. Maybe just to set a baseline, can you give people just that may not be familiar exactly what it is a financial consultant? Like, what is it that you are focused on? How's that different from maybe like an accountant or like a CPA or somebody else that you would deal with, in the other domains of your financial life?
Great question, Brian. Actually, I can take it a tad bit further. So, of course, in the financial space, there are all kinds of titles that you will come across: financial coaches, consultants, advisors, and agents. And all of this is confusing to people. Well, your baseline help in the financial space would be your financial coaches. They help you with your mindset around money, your money story, tracking your finances, building your credit, potentially starting to leave your 9 to 5 and going into entrepreneurship if that's a goal of yours. So they are your baseline. Your consultants are your people who you may consult with when you have something upcoming that you don't want to mess up or you don't want to make mistakes around. And so this is kind of your go-to person when you have something coming up, right? It's not someone who will necessarily be with you for the long haul, but you consult with them when you have something that you're concerned about. And your advisors or even your financial planners are the ones that are going to be with you for the long haul. They are interested in all areas of your financial life, you know, your current situation, your goals for the future, retirement, your child's education, you know, if you have a business, how to scale that and how to transition it out for legacy. So we have all of these titles, and, you know, you can use anyone for help in the financial space, right? Any one of these people can help you, but we also leverage or have great relationships with other financial professionals, such as estate planners or CPAs, your accountants, business consultants, you know, bankers, loan officers, right? So we have a village, what I call the financial dream team. And if you do not have a financial dream team, start with one of those professionals and know that they're going to have awesome relationships of people they have vetted so that you can get whatever it is that you need to move forward in your life.
I love that. Financial dream team. You better get you one.
Yes.
And Constance, you actually helped me when I first transitioned out of corporate America to get health insurance. I still got that health insurance. So you are absolutely part of my financial dream team. Now, one of the things I love to kind of touch on is, I know in the conversation about finances, you know, a lot of times some of the same things come up, you know, spending, saving, even investments. People are talking about cryptocurrency now. There are all these different avenues for, you know, making money and then how to keep your money. But one of the things that doesn't come up, I don't think as often, is insurance. And I know that you are actually an insurance broker and an award-winning insurance broker at that. And so can you touch on how insurance kind of fit in, or in your opinion, should fit in to your overall financial picture as you are going about this process of assembling a dream team and also planning for your future?
Awesome. Well, I might be weird. I love everything about insurance. Listen, I tell people I want someone cutting a check if something happens, right? Insurance is in place for the what ifs that will happen in our life, not if it'll happen. When things happen, you want a strong, powerful entity cutting a check. Even if you're not living paycheck to paycheck, broke, busted, and disgusted, you have some savings, you have some investments, you still want someone cutting a check if you need something with your car, if you have something going on with your health, and God forbid you take ill or even pass away. You want these entities to be your go-to if you have a challenge financially, right? And so when we think about all the different types of policies that we could have, our life insurance, our health insurance, business insurance, right? Homeowners, renters, the list goes on and on. These are your asset protection. And there is another asset that most people don't even think about, and it is our income. Asset protection can protect your income, because how many know if you take ill, like I did, unfortunately, over the last 3 years, no matter how successful your business are, no matter how great you are in your profession, if you are sick, how can you bring money into the house? And I do a talk actually around 7 streams of income to build wealth, because I got caught up several years ago and actually had to file bankruptcy because I only had one income as an entrepreneur. So that's a whole other talk, Brian.
I know you got the content for it, but that's a powerful concept. I need somebody cutting a check, and that's a beautiful thing. And sometimes something we may take for granted, and just think, it'll never happen. But then when it happens, then we're wishing we had it set up. And so my second to last question is just around, you just mentioned you have this incredible topic called setting up your 7 streams of income. And so can you tell us a little bit about who are the audiences that you love to get in front of, and then also who are the people that best case scenario, should be reaching out to you?
Thank you for asking that question. So over the last 13 years, I have been in the insurance brokerage business, financial coaching, and moving into investment advisory space in the coming months with a new firm that I'm establishing. However, I've consistently been able to build a financial empowerment brand that's real talk, it's fun, it's judgment free and engaging for entrepreneurs. And I want to work with people who want to prioritize financial wellness, take control of their money, enjoy their life while they are simultaneously enhancing the lives of their clients and their community. So mostly entrepreneurs are my go-to.
Perfect. And last question, Constance, just like everyone else, who or what do you want to be remembered for? What is your legacy?
I want to be remembered as someone who is a champion for significance, resilience, and togetherness.
Perfectly said. Dr. Constance Craig Mason, thank you so much. I just get more comfortable being around people that know what they're talking about with finance. It just makes me feel better. So this is a great conversation. And listen, if you want to learn more about anything that Constance just mentioned, insurance, financial planning, or if you're in the process of setting up your financial dream team, I recommend starting with her. So go to blackspeakersnetwork.com/speakers directory. Make sure that you find Constance on there. She's the only Constance Craig Mason we have. Very easy to find, very visible across all social media as well. And looking forward to hearing about y'all setting up your financial dream team. But Constance, thank you so much for sharing. And of course, thank you for being a part of the Black Speakers Network community.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we are absolutely rolling right on through. Now, the cool part about this is that we've had several Black Speaker Network speaker spotlights at this point, and some of them are really in BSN. We kind of have a gender balance, and sometimes it's imbalanced. The women, as you just heard, are powerful, but we're about to hear from some brothers as well. We still have, some ladies left, but, we're about to hear from some brothers. And I was looking at the agenda. I'm like, man, I feel like I got some company here. So this is good. And I'm going right over to our next speaker, who's right here in Baltimore, Maryland with me. And that is the one and only Mr. Reginald Gant, who is in the building. Welcome to BSN Speaker Spotlight, Reginald, and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Brian, it's an honor to be here. I appreciate the invitation. And quickly, just to sum up who I am, Reginald Gant, Baltimore native, proud husband, father of 5, and a proud platform partner to the BSN community, where my wife and I, we proudly educate, equip, and empower Black speakers and entrepreneurs to protect the things that matter the most. And those things are, first of all, yourself and your family, then your business, and then your online identity and reputation, since we live in a virtual world. And by doing so, what you've done is that you've glorified God, you've glorified your family, and you've solidified your legacy for when life happens and not if life happens.
Absolutely. Reginald, you and I have worked together for the last few years. You have been an incredible partner for Black Speakers Network. And so I'm just always incredibly impressed with the way that you're able to kind of get men, particularly thinking about the bigger picture in their life, and ultimately not just talking about it, but providing tools, resources, and a community to actually do that. So, I really appreciate that. Now, I know that you are the founder of a community called Serve for Men, Community for Men. Can you tell us a little bit about, what that is and why you decided to create it?
Absolutely. Over the years, as I've been growing and evolving personally myself as a man, as a father, and as a husband, God began to whisper into my ear the importance of creating a community where we can come together as like-minded men, fathers, and husbands in an environment where we can support, encourage, and hold one another accountable. Brian, you know what it's like to be a man. You know what it's like sometimes to feel like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. and I'm no exception. So I've created a online virtual community now where we can meet up sometimes up to 2-3 times a month and just have some real talk, you know. So it's really mental health, right? It's a place where men can come. They don't have to be Superman. They can take off the cape, right? And they can come in as Clark Kent. They can come in as their regular self. And it's a place where, you know, they don't have to serve, but they can come to be served.
Perfect. Yeah, I do know what it's like, and but I'll tell you, there's so many dimensions of being a man that, you know, as you get older, you know, sometimes you go into, you know, I don't have kids yet, but I know, you know, you're an incredible father. You serve many other incredible fathers, but there's that dimension. There's the dimension of, you know, once you get in a serious relationship or even get married, then there's another, you know, thing to navigate there, which you've also done. Just celebrating your anniversary as well. And then there's the dimension of caring for aging parents and everything in between. And so there's a lot on us, not to mention being able to navigate for those of us who are starting businesses or, you know, trying to climb the corporate ladder. And so I think just, again, what you're doing is so valuable. And I know one of the things that you mentioned, man, is that, you know, there's no manual, there's no guidebook. You know, we don't get a handbook on how to be, you know, a man, how to be a father. But I think, you know, if we were to write one, you should either co-author that or get that out there, man. So I really appreciate the work that you've been doing. Now, you also have 20 years on the federal government side, too. You've worked in HR, you have training experience. And so has that been helpful in terms of helping you kind of build kind of this next chapter of entrepreneurship and speaking and training that you've entered into?
Absolutely. So, yeah, with nearly 20 years of federal government expertise, specializing in HR workforce development has actually allowed me to partner now with my wife as we run our own HR consulting firm from home, serving clients here locally, but also internationally as well. So taking a lot of what I learned in leadership development, workforce development, business development, being able to kind of hone that in one place and serve, you know, a myriad of folks that come our way. But my heart still is with the entrepreneur. My heart is still with the working professional. But as I've been evolving, Brian, my heart is also going out to the men, being a voice, being an encouragement, being an inspiration to the men out here that are laboring and oftentimes, you know, unappreciated.
I totally get that. And man, I love just the direction that you decide to take everything in. Is there a message, like, for the men that are listening now? Obviously, you made it very clear who you serve. There's a lot happening right now in the world and the United States in particular. Is there like an overarching message that you want, you know, Black men or any men to hear about right now that you think kind of connects up with to some of the predominant struggles that, you know, we're facing right now?
I do, actually. And I just want to take a quick moment to highlight what happened with Chadwick Boseman and his estate. So, you know, recently his estate settled after he passed away. $3.8 million was the estate, and the government took over 1.5 million. Right. So what does that mean, Brian? Ultimately, 1.5 million was ripped away from his family's legacy. So if I had a message that I would share right now with men, fathers, husbands, whoever's listening, don't be so busy, right? Grinding, working your way towards greatness, right? Climbing the corporate ladder, whatever it is, whether it's in business or in the world of work. Don't be too busy to neglect to protect the things that matter the most. And those things are, first and foremost, yourself and your family. There's no way in the world that $1.5 million should have went to government. So if you're listening, make sure that you take time out, get your wills, get your estate plans, and as a man, step up into your leadership role so that you can protect, provide, and serve, but do it God's way.
Excellent, man. And I think you've already touched on this as we've been talking, but my last question, if you could give it to us in like 30 seconds, what's your legacy, man? What do you want to be remembered for?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. If I had to be remembered for anything, I want people to know that Reginald Gant was a man who did his best to serve himself to greatness. I did my best to unleash my greatness within the limited time that God has given me, but I also encouraged and inspired others and brought others along the journey of their own path to greatness, whatever that looks like for them. So if I could sum it up, Brian, hopefully I hit greatness. As far as I'm concerned, I'm great right now, but an inspiration to many in their journey towards greatness as well.
And I can affirm that, man. The incredible work that you're doing speaks for itself, as well as the legacy that you've already, left in the lives of the people that you serve, as well as your family, man. So I appreciate you. I want to give a shout out to your wife as well, Kenneth, who I know is watching, as well as a part of the Black Speakers Network community. You two are an incredible duo, and I just appreciate all that you all do for us and for the community, and just for the entire BSN family, really, because you both have poured so much in. So thank you, man. And obviously, if you want to connect with Reggie, make sure you do that. It says Reginald, but I keep calling Reggie. But Mr. Reginald Gant at blackspeakersnetwork.com/speaker directory. You can find him there and get connected. If you are a man, I highly recommend getting connected into the Serve community and making sure that you get plugged into the resources. But Reggie, thank you again for being a part of Black Speakers Network, and thank you for all that you shared with us today, man.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. All right, we are rocking and rolling. We got 3 speakers left. And so if you are watching right now, hopefully you are picking up some nuggets, some inspiration, some wisdom, and hopefully you're thinking about what you're going to say in your own BSN Speaker Spotlight, because again, we want to talk to you. And so if you haven't already scheduled yours, or if you're not even in the BSN community, make sure you head over to blackspeakersnetwork.com/join, learn more about what it takes to become a BSN premium member, and we would love to get you on here. But we are staying in the Maryland area. Our next guest, Reverend Dr. Linda Mcgee, she is joining us from right down the road at Silver Spring, Maryland. And so, Dr. Linda, thank you so much for joining. And can you tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Well, first, Brian, I gotta correct that Reverend. Okay, it's just Doctor. Okay, that's Reverend is above my pay grade. I'm just telling you. And also, I want people to be out there thinking that I've been in school for my entire life. I have not. I am Linda Mcgee, Dr. Linda Mcgee, and I'm a lawyer and psychologist. I call myself a reform lawyer, but I'm a clinical psychologist in Chevy Chase, Maryland. And what I do now is I am focused completely on mental health in all its iterations, including a private practice, international speaking and training practice, but also a radio show and a podcast.
Perfect. Yeah, so I want to talk about mental health with you, because this is a topic right now that, continues to come up. And I think although they're particularly in the Black communities, Black Speakers Network, there was always some stigma, I think, associated with just even admitting that we are, open to availing ourselves to mental health services. That has, I feel like, shifted a little bit, but not quite as much. What's your perspective on kind of like the current environment as it relates to, just people like embracing mental health services? Right. Like, what are you seeing?
In our community, I'm happy to be in the vanguard of bringing the word, enhancing the word about mental health. Jay-Z once said that we're scared of the police than we are therapists. So one of the things that we've all been doing out there is talking about trauma. What is like as a person of color to move through the world? What can mental health services do for you, right? And how they can make you a happier person, make you exist easier, make you less anxious and depressed. And so I've been a part of raising awareness of the rising depression and anxiety rate among all populations, but particularly among people of color, and to bring forth help to dispel that stigma and help people live happier, more fulfilled lives.
What do you think is the the holdup? What do you think is or maybe, I mean, I'm sure there are a few, but maybe the top thing?
Well, there are a few. Okay. One is we're strong people, and we've made a way out of nowhere, as the church people would say. But we want people to think that we're strong and not weak. So we think that getting help exposes a weakness, but in fact, getting help and talking through things and working through things so they don't hold you back is a strength. So we have that strong Black person demeanor, and we don't want to admit anything's wrong. Formerly, too, people have talked about the church where, if you believe in God, you just need to pray harder and you don't need mental health care. But the church has come around when faced with all of these overwhelming mental health demands, and they're actually behind, for the most part, people getting additional mental health care. So you can believe in God and have a therapist. Can I say that one more time, Brian?
Absolutely.
You can believe in God and have a therapist. Other things is access. We don't have access to mental health care. We're less likely to be insured. Finding a person of color, because now everybody wants a Black therapist. And I don't know if you know, Brian, but we're actually only 4% of psychologists are African American. So, there is not a whole lot of us, and everybody now wants one because they want to be able to talk to someone of color. It's like a little bit of shorthand. They feel like they don't have to explain everything. Like they don't have to explain what a Delta Sigma Theta is, and they don't have to explain Jack and Jill, and they don't have to explain potato salad and macaroni and cheese and who gets to bring them and all of the shorthands that we got going on in our community.
Yes, I agree with that. I remember when I started my own journey to find a mental health practitioner, a therapist, and I found a woman of color, and she's been amazing, and I have kept held on to her because of that. I didn't know it was so low in the single digits. I can only imagine, and that's probably, if you separate it by gender, probably even harder to find Black male.
Absolutely. I just came back from a school psychologist convention today, and there was one Black male in the room.
Oh my gosh, incredible!
And about 40 African American women.
So we got work to do there. Now, one aspect that I know that you spent a significant amount of time working with is underserved and at-risk youth. And so, can you just talk a little bit about some of the specific challenges that you've seen there, and also why choose to focus on the youth population? I know that there's some unique challenges there versus working with teens or adults. So, why has that been such a passion and focus for you?
It's been a passion because our kids need us, and they're not faring well. Even the ones that have a lot of economic advantages are not faring well. And they have a rising, unfortunately, suicide rate. So I am focused on our youth and how we treat our youth and how we raise our youth, to the point where, that's also a focus of my podcast that I participate in, the Sunrise Project. Give that a little plug. That's being shown on the OWN networks. But focusing on how do we get them, how do we nurture our children? How do we deal with our own trauma as parents so that we can raise our kids in the healthiest way possible? How can we give them the confidence in this world, with this in this environment that we're in now, to go out there and be strong and gifted adults? How can we have them be great? As your last speaker just say, how can we help them be great?
Beautiful. And as one of those coming through a life where I was certainly one of those Baltimore City youth that were, probably at risk, I can attest to that, and how important it is to have, people like you who are not only, just advocating for resources and tools, but also, providing solution and access as well. So I think that is great. I'll give you the last word, just like everyone else. Dr. Linda, for you, please tell us, what do you want to be remembered for? What's your legacy?
that I used each and every gift that I got growing up from the projects to fight for people in need, but to fight for my people. And I'd like for people to remember me by being an advocate, a fighter, but someone who has, because of my experience and my corporate background and my legal background, able to go into corporate environments, schools, and work with all different kinds of people that help them find solutions for the people that want to find solutions.
Well said. Well said. Listen, Dr. Linda, listen, guys, the mental health and conversation is so important. And I hope that you've kind of taken away some nuggets, some insight here. But if you want more, please make sure you connect with Dr. Linda at blackspeakersnetwork.com/speaker directory. You can get directly connected to her there. Check out the podcast. It is awesome. You know, she's working with Oprah. I don't know if y'all caught that, but she's working with Oprah. And she just has a ton of not just knowledge, but also resources. So, Dr. Linda, I just want to thank you again for sharing with us today. And of course, thanks for being part of the Black Speakers Network community.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we are rocking and rolling. We have 2 speakers left. And as I told you, the brothers are coming through strong, and it is no exception. So I'm going right to my namesake over here. And by the way, you probably have noticed the fact that, you know, right now we have speakers from all across the country. And so it doesn't really matter where you're located. Pennsylvania, Detroit, Chicago, Atlanta, Baltimore, DC, LA, Toronto, Canada, you are welcome. And so one of the big things we want to make sure is that you have a home here in Black Speakers Network, no matter where you're joining from across the country. But my next guest is joining right from Charlotte, North Carolina. He is Mr. Brian K. McNeill, the sales confidence coach. And so, Brian, always good to be with you, man. We got B squared in the building, if you will. So please tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Born and raised in the streets of Brooklyn. Actually, I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, but I live in Charlotte, North Carolina right now. And I am the sales confidence coach. You know how there's so many amazing entrepreneurs that offer services that really, really do help people. But a lot of them do not earn nearly the money that they could or that they should. And very often they do not earn that money simply because they do not know how to sell it well, or they're using antiquated selling methodologies, or they're hoping that their branding will sell for them. And I'm here to help them to actually know what to say and do so they can earn significantly more money than they already do. That's what I do. Brian K. McNeill, the sales confidence coach. I
love that, Brian. So I'm going to get into a little bit more of your story in a moment, but the sales, I feel like those 2 things, so sales and confidence, if we could kind of dive in on that for a moment.
Sure.
I feel like they're kind of connected together. And so some people have like perhaps a negative connotation when they hear the word sales. Even entrepreneurs, even business owners, they're kind of like, oh, I'll do anything else today. I will go, handle the books. I'll go, create a new product or whatever. But sales, sometimes it just evokes almost a fear of dread. So what is it about sales that you would like to share with people to kind of dispel some of the fear or perhaps some of the misunderstanding associated with the phrase?
Well, I'm real glad that you said what you said, Brian. If I had 100 people in front of me right now and I said, how many of you guys do not like to sell? Raise your hand. It'll be about 90% of them that raise their hand. And all of them are incorrect. What they don't like is not knowing what to say. What they don't like is the potential of being rejected. What they don't like is having to ask for money. They don't like some of the process that they imagine and they build it up in their heads. But once they've learned how to ask for money, how to close a sale, it'll become an enjoyable act. And think about this. Most of us love to sell. Has anyone ever bought anything from you? Has anyone ever hired you from anything or for anything, bought anything from you and paid you what you ask? And then once you got the money, you said, man, I did not like them paying me for what I was offering. I found that unpleasant, them giving me money for my services. No, you didn't do that. You were happy that they paid you for what you offered because you made a sale. And if you're having difficulties with the word sell or selling, replace it with the word help or helping, because it fits perfectly, because that's where the word sell comes from. It's a Greek compound word from two words, sell and ye, which literally means to help. So instead of thinking of it as I'm selling, think of it as I'm helping, because that's how it's supposed to fit. But once you learn how to ask for money, once you learn how to ask for business in a way that feels authentic for you, you will find it an enjoyable act.
I love that shift in thinking, and I really appreciate that reframe, Brian. And so, who do you, let me ask you this, who do you love getting in front of? Because I imagine there are a number of audiences from, sales is one of those things that's ubiquitous. So it doesn't matter if it's real estate or if you're trying to, sell aircraft carriers or computer technology, like everybody needs sales. But for you, who is the audience that you really love, speaking in front of and getting in front of? And then who are the people that you absolutely love super serving yourself?
Yes, and you're right. So much of selling is communicable, and it'll work from industry to industry, from profession to profession. But I prefer to help people that sell an intangible service and that are seeking clients. If they want a client to add to their portfolio or a client to add to their business, or they sell something that has to be sold through a story, like insurance, financial services, coaching, those things, you don't hand them anything. It's an intangible services. And that's what I believe I could do better than anybody. I can teach them what to do with their time. What do you do on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays with your time? My entrepreneurial friends, there are a whole lot of things that they spend their time doing that do not earn them money. And learning what you need to do to earn money will help you out tremendously. I believe the two most important skills of life that have more to do with your happiness or sadness, your prosperity or your poverty, all of that is the ability to communicate and the ability to sell. If you can articulate a thought so that some other person understands it and helps you to have a happier life. If you can get money in exchange for what you're offering, getting money in exchange for it, that's what the selling part is. Some people don't understand that right there. So I prefer to serve those who want a new client. And I would say this to you, Brian, because I have been in the game for a long time. I've written 4 books, 2 of which are Amazon bestsellers, and I've got hundreds of testimonials about how effective my stuff is. I am in a place that I am only looking to help the people that are actively looking for my kinds of help. I want to serve the people that are looking to be served. I want to help people to sell better who want to help sell better. That's all. I'm in that place right now. I don't have to do it the other way.
Yeah, you earned the right, and I really respect that. One of the things I also respect is the fact that you are a person that is constantly in the mode of development. And so, as you mentioned, you have the testimonials or the receipts, as we say these days. You got those in the book. So you generated your own sales. You've helped other people find their confidence in selling. But one of the things that I also noted is that you personally have read, I believe, over 700 books. You've written for yourself, but then you also consumed hundreds of other books. How has that impacted your methodology, your practice, and what led you to actually read that many books? I don't even think I've ever touched, 700 books in my life.
Well, I don't read them all at the same time. I read a page at a time, but you just never stop. My life changed when I discovered my first book on selling. My first book on selling I happened to find was called How to Master the Art of Selling by Tom Hopkins, because I was dying. I was starving. I was making no money. But on page 4 of that book, it showed why you cannot fail in selling. So as I read the book, and then I got another one and another one, I started to sell a little bit better. I started making a little bit more money. I started winning sales contests. I started setting records and those kinds of things. They just never stopped. Now, I'm certain I've read more than 700 books because I can count how many I have that I've read. But that number is really, really conservative because several of the books I've read more than one time. like Think and Grow Rich, I probably read, maybe 7 times or 8 times. The Greatest Salesman in the World, I'm sure I've read more than 10 times. So the books were all in selling, how to sell, how to manage salespeople, and self-development. So, but it's just something that you do. And I think you're not taking yourself seriously if you're not willing to study your craft at least 30 minutes to an hour on every day that you work. 30 minutes to an hour, you got to study your craft, either through books or through YouTube or something.
Absolutely. You got to sharpen the saw.
All the time.
Well, listen, Brian, you share so much in a relatively short period of time. I'll leave you with the same question that I leave everyone. What is it that you, Brian K. McNeill, want to be remembered for?
There are certain scriptures and passages that convict my life every single day. And one of them is the parable of the talents, but the other one is the concept of the sin of the desert. The sin of the desert is when you know where the water is, but you won't tell anyone else. You know where the solution is, but you're keeping it to yourself. I know how to teach people how to sell. My Heavenly Father has uniquely gifted and qualified and prepared me to know how to teach others to sell. And I honor my Heavenly Father by doing what he gifted me to do. I feel like I owe it to the world to teach them how to sell themselves and their services and earn more money. And I want to be known for having done that for more people than I already have. I've already done it for thousands of people, of course, but I want to do this for the rest of my life through my books, my workshops, my talks from my platform, or whatever. But that's what I'm here to do, and that's what I want to do greatly.
You heard it from Brian K. McNeill, the sales confidence coach. Listen, if you are in a place, if you're selling services, if you are running organizations, conferences, workshops, seminars, virtual events, podcasts, and you have people that are looking to sell those intangible products and they're struggling with confidence, which is probably most people, make sure you get connected with Brian K. McNeill, blackspeakersnetwork.com/speaker-directory, and look them up and get connected. Brian, I want to thank you again for sharing. And of course, thank you for being a part of the Black Speakers Network community, my friend.
That's my honor. Thank you for having me, brother.
No problem. All right. So we have made it almost to the end of our program. We have one speaker left, and I told you the brothers are represented, and so I'm going to bring him right on up. And the cool part is Mr. Kelvin is from Houston, Texas, so he's our first person really, I think, outside of the Eastern time zone that we've had so far. So appreciate you coming in a little bit earlier for us. But Mr. Kelvin, thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of the Black Speakers Network community. Welcome to the spotlight, and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Brian, for having me on the platform tonight. I'm Kelvin Weathers. I'm a mentor, speaker. I'm a husband, and I'm also an Amazon bestselling co-author of the book Still I Thrive. So I'm a person that just wants to help people, wants to be there, wants to just apply my knowledge to help people to know where they want to go, to accomplish their goals, accomplish what they intend, their destiny, their purpose, their passion, and mainly with young people and with middle-aged people and old others. So that's a little bit about me. I'm also an online. Actually, Brian was just fascinating what Brian was saying. I am an online sales consultant for a company during the day, but my passion is speaking and helping others is my serving others is my passion.
Yeah, I think that's such an interesting blend of, coaching, mentoring, education that you bring to the table, Kelvin. And so I want to dig into the topic of mentoring for a little bit. I know you do a lot of work with that. I believe that you either currently or previously volunteered for Houston Independent School District.
Yeah.
What is your perspective on mentoring, like the state of mentoring, and also what keeps you engaged in terms of sharing your time and resources to give back to others in that way?
Well, it's actually, and it's something that I really don't share that much, but because of previous situations and previous disappointments in my life, the mentoring opportunity came about. I was rejected for it, and I was asked to be a part of this Houston Independent School District Ascending to Men program, which basically was a program designed to help young men to achieve with scholarship information and other information to help them to be on the right path. And I was rejected for it initially, but then after some years, I was able to be accepted to be a part of that network, to be a part of that mentoring program. So mentoring is undervalued, the power, the potential of having a mentor, having a coach, having someone that can be there to guide you, to listen to you, but give you some advice, give you some knowledge, give you constructive feedback is really invaluable. So it means a lot more to me because I wasn't able to be a part of it for a couple of years, but was able to for the last couple of years. And so that inspires me even more. That kind of pushes me even more because I at one point thought I may not have been able to be a part of and participate in the program.
Absolutely. Very powerful story. And I know right now, of course, as you mentioned, you're coaching, you're speaking. Can you give us some more insight onto, who is your ideal audience? Like, who do you love getting in front of? Who do you like talking to? And then who do you enjoy serving the most?
I enjoy young people. I'm a first generation college graduate. I enjoy high school. I enjoy college. I enjoy middle age. So I enjoy being in front of tough audiences, different audiences, those that may seem not to be receptive, whether even if they're in the prison or if they're in a different environment, just in any audience that's there that wants to learn and is just there for inspiration and for hope. So that's the audiences that I like to be a part of, and like to be in front of, whether it be a company, whether it be a sales organization, or what primarily in what I've been recently has been high schools and in colleges, looking to bring more into in that sphere.
Yeah, high school, universities, colleges, I think all important places. And I think what's really powerful and what I'm taking away from part of your message, Kelvin, is the fact that, I think the earlier you can intervene in someone's life, whether it be elementary, middle, high school, the bigger, that impact. Like I still remember, even though they weren't technically speakers, but it got a word, like my teachers, like everybody had that teacher in high school that they remembered, or that person in that adjunct professor in college that spoke some words of encouragement or shared a particular aspect of life that you wouldn't have got anywhere else. And so I think that's really, really powerful. And so to that end, I do want to give you the last word, just like everyone else, and have you tell us what is it that you want to be remembered for, Kelvin?
Well, I didn't even share into, and I don't, because sometimes when you're a speaker, you don't want to say that you do all these things. You want to say you have a particular niche. But even in speaking, I've done a lot of speaking for churches, and a lot of times even doing eulogies, there's a dash that's on someone's tombstone, and there's they have a date that you were born to, a date that you die. And I want to be remembered as somebody who just, made a difference in people's lives. That was a positive influence. That was someone that gave, if it was inspiration, if it was feedback, if it was money, if it was time. I just want to be someone that people, I think Emerson has a quote about, it's not about, what the money you have, but it's about if you made a difference in one person's life. And so that's kind of what I want to be remembered for, that I was a difference maker, that I was somebody that really helped someone along the way, and they were better for it after I left, that they weren't worse off after I came, they were better after I was involved in their life. That's what I want to be remembered for.
And listen, I think based on what you shared, you're well on your way to doing that. So again, if you would love to connect with Kelvin, if something that he said struck you, if you are looking for a youth speaker or a church speaker, he has a lot of areas of expertise to pull from. Make sure you connect with him, blackspeakersnetwork.com. Head over to the speakers directory and make sure that you follow him and connect and ensure that he can speak life into possibly a young person that is, I think, one of the most important responsibilities that we have is to be able to continue to pour into our young people. And so, Kelvin, I'm excited that you're doing this work. Thank you for sharing, and also thank you for being a part of the Black Speakers Network community.
Thank you very much for this awesome network and this awesome community. Thank you for your vision, and thank you for being able to share tonight. Thank you. And the last but not the least, thank you, sir.
Absolutely not the least at all. You are welcome. All right, guys. So we are officially done. Guess what? We're rolling right into a part 2. And so that's going to be starting now. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Before we do, though, I know we have a number of people that are watching that are still maybe just on the fence or not quite sure what Black Speakers Network is. And so we're going to share a quick video. But again, I encourage you, if you're interested in being a part of the Black Speakers Network community, make sure you join us, blackspeakersnetwork.com/join. And as we say in BSN, keep speaking up because your audience awaits. Being at a HBCU like Morgan State University, I saw firsthand the talent, the expertise, the creativity that we bring to the table when it comes to this world of public speaking.
Black Speakers Network is a space where I can interact and engage with my tribe, with Black speakers.
It's all reflective of an abundance mindset that there is enough for all of us to win big.
BSN serves others not only in community, culture, but around the world.
BSN not only helped me book additional paid opportunities, but gave me the accountability and confidence booster I needed to really strive and thrive consistently in my business.
They curate all the engagements and email them to you. So all you have to do is simply click and apply to the one that's applicable for your niche.
I have built my business and have expanded my knowledge, met amazing people, and I have landed several speaking engagements.
I truly thank the entire team behind Black Speakers Network for helping me share my story with the world.
In less than 3 years, I was able to increase my visibility, my credibility, and even my connectivity.
What I experienced with BSN is phenomenal connections. And I've met so many great people that have added value to my life in ways I just wouldn't have expected.
If you want to speak on college stages, BSN has something for you. If you want to speak and sell, I feel like BSN has a cohort for you.
At the end of the day, Black Speakers Network is really there for anyone who is longing to reach the audience that they're called to serve.
Black Speakers Network truly is a place where you can feel like you're home.
If you are on the fence, get off the fence and join the family. You won't regret it.
It is the #1 organization that I recommend that every speaker become a member of if you really want to catapult your success and maximize to its fullest potential your voice.